With me, Dustin Long, NBC Sports, Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports. Gentlemen, at the press conference yesterday following what happened last week with Austin Dillon, the questions were the same. There was a theme that was going on to see what they would do. Would they rack each other? Were you guys satisfied with the answers of most of the drivers?
Well, I don't need to be satisfied, right? Like they can answer however they want to answer.
Yeah.
I think they gave us honest opinions, so that makes me satisfied. I think they told the truth. It's everything that we've heard from what they've been saying is that they felt like somebody had to draw a line, or else they were going to be put in positions to do even more things that they don't want to do than they already are.
Yeah, Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I just think that, but again, what they say in here can be completely different to what happens out there on the track. Now, again, I think these drivers have a little bit better sense of where that line might be, although there is no defined line and it could change. And look, there could be some sort of contact, whether it's this race, next race, or somewhere else, and somebody will go, hey, wait, what happened? Why is this not a penalty or a penalty and it wasn't here or there? Type of thing, and that's what you're always going to have with NASCAR if you're not going to have it defined. And again, I think the officials don't want it defined because they don't want to completely box themselves into, hey, if there was this type of contact, we've got to penalize, because in some situations they might not have. And quite frankly, I don't know what Bob thinks, but I don't know if they would have. I don't know if they would have penalized Austin Dillon just for the Joey Logano contact last week at Richmond. If it was just that as opposed to Logano and Hamlin, that might have gone away without a penalty.
Yeah, I tried asking Brett Keselowski that question yesterday. I said if this would have just been a Joey rather than a Joey, a Hamlin, and then a crew or a spotter coming out making a comment, I think it was the totality of it, and they felt like if they didn't do something, that line was going to get moved in a direction that they might not have been able to control going down the road. But who knows on that. Taking a look at the race this week, the 3 or 4 drivers on the line, who gets in? I mean, between Boucher and all them, do you guys have any idea who you think might do it, or is this just one of those we got to wait and see?
I think it's a wait and see, but I think it's a fascinating race now that Austin Dillon's win does not count toward a playoff spot. So you've got, Ty Gibbs is only 18 points above the cut line. You've got Bubba Wallace 3 points above. Chris Buescher is tied with Ross Chastain, but Buescher has it on the tiebreaker. So, and then again, what if there's somebody that wins that's outside the top, the 16, and somebody that is not Chastain further out that wins the race and then moves the cut line even up. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you, the guy I'm really kind of keeping an eye on is Ty Gibbs. Boy, they early in the season you thought, boy, here's this guy that's going to get this first win at any moment, and now they've really struggled. Joe Gibbs Racing's had some engine issues. They've had Ty's been bit by some of that lately. So that's a guy that looks to be a little bit more vulnerable. We'll see if that changes the next few weeks.
How about you, Bob?
I think the guy who's vulnerable is Ross Chastain. I don't know that they've been as consistent as they'd like to be. They haven't had the speed that they've liked to have. Now, the last couple of weeks, they seem to have taken some steps, but I still wonder about Chastain. If you're looking at those 5 drivers for the 4 spots, I think Bubba is definitely on the rise right now, and I think as long as they don't have engine issues, I think Ty Gibbs and Bubba are going to be okay. But that's a pretty big if.
Yeah, you gentlemen, I think you're right on that. Taking a look, just a couple last. Ford has won 9 in a row. We already know this is their backyard. Does Ford make it 10?
No, they don't. I don't. It's certainly hard to judge off a very short practice yesterday, but I think
practice really.
I think the Chevys and the Toyotas will probably be the ones to watch today.
What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, I think the streak ends, but it's a remarkable streak to think that you could go nearly a decade, or 9 straight races, I should say, winning at a particular racetrack. So I'm leaning a little more toward the Toyotas, but we'll see what happens. And that's the great thing about sports is you can kind of predict what it's going to be, or say, hey, on paper it's going to be this, and then who knows. Last week at Richmond, would anybody predicted Austin Dillon, even with that end of that race, really put himself and had a great race and put himself where he should have won that race, except for that last caution, and just didn't get that good restart. So you just never know, and I think that's the beauty of sports.
Yeah. Last week, when I was watching the broadcast, the NBC broadcast, not because you're standing here. I thought it was an excellent broadcast. I really thought that they brought out when Daniel Soares went to the alternate tire very early. Everybody was kind of afraid to use it, and then all of a sudden they saw it was kind of like their lucky tire. I thought it made for a great race all the way around. And without those last 2 laps there, I thought that was just a great story in itself, and then that got trumped by what actually happened, it would seem like.
Well, I mean, I'll give credit to our booth guys, it's particularly Steve Letarte, the former crew chief for us, you know, and just how he was on top of it. But a lot of people behind the scenes were on top of it, making sure that our viewers knew, you know, who was on the reds, who was on the yellows, because there was not like something that was coming from NASCAR that was saying, hey, here's who's on what tires, and so they were bringing it out. A lot of work behind the scenes by a lot of people on that, and then Steve was able to take that information and just really kind of filter it to the viewer and kind of give them a sense of it. And Jeff Burton able to talk about the differences, and Rick Allen kind of policing everything up there in the booth. So really worked well, and thank you very much.
Anything to add on that, Bob?
Well, the unfortunate thing is that the fans in the stands don't have a Steve Letarte or somebody up there to explain it to them, and I hope that NASCAR gets to the point where it just have one set of tires they bring to the track, or one compound, and if it has to be a softer compound and they have to bring 12 sets, bring 12 sets, but you have tires that wear, and you don't have like, oh, who's on hards, who's on softs. I don't know that resonates with anybody except for the hardcore fans.